We reconquered the moon. Neat, huh? Sometimes cool stuff does happen. Odysseus moon landing complete. There we go.
Nearly 55 years after Neil Armstrong took one small step for
Allegedly.
man, a private U.S. company has taken one giant leap for mankind's future of space exploration. CBS's Mark Strassman reports on today's historic moon landing.
Tonight, the Odyssey of Odysseus has ended on the moon, the first American-made spacecraft kicking up lunar dust in more than a half-century.
As our equipment is on the surface of the moon.
Jubilant. Mission control of Intuitive Machines in Houston, the first commercial moon landing ever. The final descent from 18 miles above the lunar surface, a continuous engine burn for 10 minutes. By touchdown, Odysseus had slowed to 2 miles per hour.
This is the assembly room.
It's pretty damn cool. I know it's corporate like space stuff, but it's a moon landing. What's cool is cool.
Intuitive co-founder Steve Altemus showed us the historic moonlander up close last year in Houston. His company envisions a $100 billion lunar market.
We're delivering scientific payloads, engineering demonstration payloads, but not the humans themselves.
And you believe the moon is the next economic frontier?
The moon is certainly that next step for space exploration.
Odysseus landed near the lunar South Pole, carrying less than 300 pounds of cargo, including 6 instruments for NASA, an Intuitive customer. The space agency hopes to have astronauts moonwalking there by the end of the decade. Some craters there never see light, so cold they may contain ice, and water is critical to long-term space exploration.
I have mixed opinions on this because on one hand, I do want a moon colony, and I do understand that mining the moon for resources is actually a very sane thing to do. Like, it sounds like one of those crazy corporate things, but it's like, think about it for a second. Like, there's a lot of really valuable shit up on the moon. Like, sure. If that can be useful. I mean, sure. The problem is obviously that any kind of private market here would be obviously it'd be incredibly, vulnerable to exploitation and fuck-ups. They're going to destroy the moon if they mine it. The moon is a little bit more sturdy than that. Yeah, we got to bring back all that cheese.
NASA plans to basically hire these companies to send payloads to the moon like you'd call an Uber or a Lyft. But these companies have to make it work first, and that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah, my understanding is that this stuff is being done for NASA and with NASA supervision, but NASA doesn't have the funding to actually finance these. So it's like a joint effort, you know. The lander was built by a private corporation, but it's not being done without NASA supervision.
Not since the end of the Apollo era has an American lander parked itself on the surface of the moon.
I like the suit pattern and color, and it seems to fit okay, except the shoulders are a little bit too large and there's a small collar cap. It means that there's not enough weight centered in the front of the suit. It's a common issue.
This mission will last roughly a week until lunar night freezes the solar batteries. Quite an achievement, Nora.
Yeah.
Quadrinorchibe? What does that mean? Who would the moon colony be owned by? I don't know. There's no moon colony. Can't really say. Wait, I wanted to see more than that. Give me a longer video.
We see some clapping, though, Ken. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't know if that's some good news here. Let's pop up the audio for just a moment.
Yeah, pop
like
up
Italian?
the audio. I saw somebody clapping.
Words to the entire team in Intuitive Machines at Superbab and here in the Mission Control. What an astounding effort! I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface and we are transmitting. And welcome to the moon.
Please, their friends.
Yeah, you know, as we said, there's a little bit of communications issues. That there was some chatter that they were getting a signal back from the moon, but that had to all be confirmed. So it looks like it has landed. They're clapping. They're getting a signal from the moon, and so hopefully soon we'll get pictures. It could take some time, but right now they are ecstatic, and so am I. I mean, this is only the second commercial lander from the United States to attempt the landing, and now it looks like we've succeeded. And this one is at the South Pole, exactly where we want to send the Artemis astronauts. This is one of the landing zones, and so now it has about a 7-day mission. And then it goes into lunar night. It's not expected to survive that. But I expect we'll be getting a lot more information very soon. And this real exciting, I met these students from Embry-Riddle here, and, you know, they have this Eagle Cam experiment deployed at little
she's like, well, how do I engage
30
with this?
meters
Look,
above the surface, and it's
looking
looking back to take a
selfie. Do I just let him talk forever?
Okay, the first third-person image of a landing of any place in the whole solar system from a human system. So, you know, we should.
NASA does more than just supervise for this landing. They had a failure of a key navigational system and had to use NASA lasers for the landing. Oh, cool. Oh, man, that's so awesome. Like, navigational shit goes down, and it's like, okay, we're going to fire a beam of light from the Earth, and you're going to use this laser pointer to land. Hell yeah, dude.
Get that pretty soon. I was speaking with the students. They're hopeful if it worked, they would get, you know, data within, you know, maybe a few moments or minutes,
like cats, exactly.
Certainly within an hour or so. But it all depends on communication, and it all depends on how that CubeSat was deployed. And it's rotating. And
what's the advantage of landing on the dark side? Why are they aiming for the South Pole? They didn't land on the dark side. They landed on the South Pole because it's that's the area they want to develop a future lunar base, and you would want to develop a lunar base at the pole because it has diffuse light. The moon is tidally locked to the Earth. You know, we only ever see one side of the moon, and like the parts of the moon that are exposed directly to the sun, let's say in a radiation sense, inhospitable to life, and the parts that are dark are extremely cold. So it's kind of a middle ground deal, right?
And hopefully the camera is pictured towards the lander. So we'll just have to wait and see. But preliminarily, this is real exciting. And Intuitive Machines has at least 3 missions with NASA. Okay, there's like about a dozen of these CLPS missions, these commercial lunar lander payload missions that NASA has set contracts with the various companies. So if this worked, that's really exciting because it means Intuitive Machines can go ahead with their second mission, and that's going to have a little tiny rover on it. You know, kind of like the size of the cell phone, maybe. It looks extremely small, but that would
more asteroid impacts on the dark side. Oh, that's true, yeah.
Be deployed along with some NASA payloads. So the future looks bright. Artemis doesn't completely depend on the success of these commercial missions, but if they work, it will be extremely helpful. And another thing that's on here is a laser retroreflector. So that is
going to say NASA just put this out that your order was delivered
on back. Well, completely wrong going to go. So that's pretty clear.
Well, today has been such an exciting day to watch all of this happen as the...
No kidding. I think it's cool. Is that why we all lost cell phone service today? Because all the satellites were sending signals to the moon, lol. I don't even know if this is a joke. It is live now from Fox. Peasant brain? Yeah. Person tosses salt over their shoulder whenever they break glass. But as it prepared to descend to the surface, ground controllers realized that lasers intended to determine its altitude and horizontal velocity, key data points for it autonomously to land softly on the surface, weren't working. They ordered the craft to take an additional orbit around the moon before the landing attempt while uploading a software patch that would allow the spacecraft to begin using a NASA Doppler LiDAR system. That's so cool! They were like, oh, your lander shit is broken. Take another lap around the moon. We're going to upload the software that lets us use NASA tech to help it land. We weren't planning to use it in line with the actual mission coming down to the landing, but now we are. That is so cool. The landing is a coup for NASA at a time when several nations are eyeing the moon, particularly the lunar South Pole, where there is water in the form of ice. Water is not only vital to sustaining human life, but its hydrogen and oxygen could be used as rocket fuel. Why don't we do that here? We do. But then you have to lift the rocket up from Earth's gravity, which is very difficult. But if you could refuel a rocket after sending it over to the moon, you could give it a full tank of gas again, and then have it lift off from the comparatively incredibly easy takeoff that's the moon. What's the delta V Earth gravity well? Wait, hold on. Delta V orbit requirement by planet. Delta V map of the solar system. Blue numbers. Delta V in kilometers per second required to go from one node to the next. 9.4 kilometers per second to get out to low orbit from Earth, then 2.4 to get up to geostationary orbit. moon transfer, 0.68. Yeah, from the moon to low orbit of the moon, 1.73. So the escape velocity necessary to leave from the moon is a fifth, basically, of what it is to leave Earth. XKCD has a delta V map. Hold on, XKCD delta V map. There is a lot of really cool stuff that could potentially be done if we had like a proper moon base, you know? Like, I'm totally in favor of it. I think it's awesome. Where Saturn, rings, Uranus, Neptune. Oh, there we go. There's Earth right over there. Scaled to Earth surface gravity. There you go. And there you have like the gravity wells, relatively. And there's Jupiter. So that's cool. What the fuck am I looking at? It's a visual representation of the amount of energy that you need to escape the gravity well of a planet, like by reaching orbit. Though there's a lot of information here that I don't understand, you know. I'm not the XKCD guy.